People assume loneliness only happens when love is gone, but sometimes it appears when love is present but unsafe.
Emotional safety is not about staying together. It is about feeling seen without fear.
Intimacy is not only touch or words, it is being understood without needing to explain yourself every time.
When that understanding fades, the relationship stays, but the connection slowly disappears.
Many people silence their needs because they fear conflict more than emptiness.
And unmet needs do not vanish. They sink inward and turn into quiet loneliness.
Over time, you stop reaching out because rejection feels familiar.
And familiarity with pain becomes more comfortable than risking vulnerability.
Loneliness inside a relationship does not begin suddenly. It grows quietly in moments that seem small and harmless at first. It starts when you hesitate before sharing a feeling because you are unsure how it will be received. You tell yourself it is not worth the argument or the explanation. Over time, this hesitation becomes a habit. Emotional safety slowly erodes when your thoughts feel like a burden instead of a bridge. You begin editing yourself, choosing words carefully, avoiding topics, minimizing emotions, and slowly shrinking your inner world. When a person does not feel emotionally safe, they are not fully present. They may be physically there, participating in routines, laughing at jokes, sharing meals, but internally, they are holding back. Emotional safety means knowing that your vulnerability will not be used against you later. It means trusting that your pain will be met with care rather than dismissal. Without that safety, intimacy cannot survive. Many people confuse peace with silence, but silence often hides unresolved fear. You might stop expressing needs because past attempts were met with defensiveness or indifference. When your emotions are ignored repeatedly, your nervous system learns to protect itself by withdrawing. This withdrawal feels like loneliness even while sharing a life with someone. It is not the absence of love that creates this feeling, but the absence of emotional responsiveness. You start to feel like a stranger to the person who once knew you deeply. The relationship continues, but it feels hollow, like a house where the lights are on but no one is home. Loneliness in this space becomes internalized, making you question your worth and wonder if wanting more connection makes you needy. But wanting emotional closeness is not weakness, it is a human need. When that need goes unmet, the pain does not scream. It whispers constantly, reminding you that something essential is missing.
I used to believe intimacy was built through time, shared experiences, and loyalty. But I learned that intimacy is not guaranteed by commitment alone. It is sustained by consistent emotional presence. Intimacy gaps form when partners stop being curious about each other's inner worlds. You stop asking how they really feel, and they stop telling you. Conversations become functional instead of meaningful. You talk about schedules, responsibilities, and surface-level events, but avoid deeper topics because they feel risky or exhausting. Emotional intimacy requires effort, but it also requires safety. When responses become dismissive, sarcastic, or impatient, the gap widens. You may still touch, still sleep together, still say I love you, but those actions lose their emotional weight. The body remains connected, while the mind and heart drift apart. Loneliness emerges when you realize the person you share everything with does not truly know you anymore. You might even sit next to them while feeling unseen. That feeling creates confusion because you question why you feel lonely when you are not alone. Many people blame themselves, assuming they are emotionally demanding or overly sensitive. But often the truth is simpler. The relationship stopped nurturing emotional connection. Intimacy is not a fixed state. It must be maintained through listening, validation, and emotional attunement. When one or both partners stop showing up emotionally, the gap grows silently. Over time, you stop expecting emotional support, and that expectation shift deepens the loneliness. You stop bringing your full self into the relationship because it feels safer to exist partially. That partial existence drains you, leaving you emotionally isolated even in partnership.
Unmet needs are one of the most common roots of loneliness in relationships. Needs are not demands. They are emotional signals asking for connection, reassurance, understanding, or affection. But many people were taught that having needs makes them difficult or weak, so they suppress them. At first, this suppression feels manageable. You convince yourself that you can handle it, that you are being mature or patient. But needs do not disappear when ignored. They accumulate. Each unmet need adds weight to the emotional distance. When a partner consistently overlooks your needs, it sends a message, intentional or not, that your inner experience is not a priority. Over time, this message reshapes how you see yourself. You may stop advocating for yourself, believing your needs are unreasonable. Loneliness grows when your emotional reality is unacknowledged. You might even feel guilty for wanting more closeness. This guilt keeps you silent, and silence reinforces the loneliness. Relationships thrive when both people feel safe expressing what they need without fear of rejection or ridicule. When that safety is absent, people retreat inward. They may stay in the relationship out of loyalty, fear of loss, or hope for change, but internally they feel disconnected. This internal disconnection is painful because it happens in the very place where you expect comfort. Loneliness here feels heavier because it is shared but unspoken. You are together, yet alone in your emotional experience, and that contradiction is exhausting.
Another layer of loneliness comes from unresolved emotional wounds that partners unknowingly trigger in each other. When emotional safety is low, small misunderstandings can reopen old pain. Instead of healing together, partners protect themselves by shutting down. This shutdown creates emotional distance. Over time, the relationship becomes a place of tension rather than refuge. You might feel more relaxed alone than with your partner, and that realization can be deeply unsettling. Loneliness in relationships is not always about lack of love. Sometimes it is about misalignment in emotional capacity. One partner may be more emotionally expressive, while the other struggles with vulnerability. Without open communication, this difference creates misunderstanding. The expressive partner feels ignored. The reserved partner feels overwhelmed. Both feel alone in different ways. Emotional intimacy requires mutual effort and patience. When one person carries most of the emotional labor, resentment can form. Resentment further blocks connection, creating a cycle where loneliness feeds itself. Breaking this cycle requires awareness, not blame. It requires recognizing that loneliness is a signal, not a failure. It points to areas where emotional connection needs attention. Ignoring that signal only deepens the distance. Facing it honestly opens the possibility for repair.
Healing loneliness within a relationship begins with emotional honesty. It requires both partners to acknowledge the distance without defensiveness. This process can feel uncomfortable because it exposes vulnerability. But vulnerability is the foundation of emotional intimacy. Rebuilding emotional safety means creating space where feelings are welcomed, not judged. It means listening to understand rather than to respond. Small, consistent actions rebuild trust. Validating emotions even when you do not fully understand them restores connection. Loneliness fades when people feel emotionally held. It does not disappear overnight. It softens gradually as emotional safety returns. Some relationships can heal this loneliness through mutual effort. Others reveal that the disconnection is too deep. In both cases, awareness is empowering. Feeling lonely in a relationship does not mean you are broken. It means your emotional needs matter. Whether healing together or choosing yourself, acknowledging loneliness is the first step toward emotional fulfillment.
Loneliness is not always about empty rooms. Sometimes it lives inside conversations that never reach the heart. And the most painful silence is the one that exists between two people who once felt close.
Feeling unseen can slowly convince you that your emotions do not matter. But emotional neglect hurts just as deeply as abandonment, even when no one walks away.
Intimacy is built when someone listens to understand, not to defend. And safety is created when vulnerability is met with care instead of distance. Your needs are not too much. They are signals asking for connection. Ignoring them does not make you stronger. It only makes you lonelier.
Healing begins when you stop blaming yourself for wanting to feel close. And it grows when both people choose presence over comfort and honesty over silence.
No one should feel invisible in the place they call love. Because real connection is not about staying together. It is about truly being there.